Bushcraft 412, and let's talk real quick about the differences between brass and steel-cased ammo. I get a lot of questions about this and a lot of controversy because this is kind of a hot topic in ammunition. Is the old steel case versus brass. There are a lot of people who just really despise steel case ammo, and I understand their viewpoint, but I kind of disagree with it. And there's a lot of people like me who use steel case all the time and never have any problems with it. So I understand, guys, if you disagree with me. It's not for everybody, but I use it, and I just kind of want to talk about some of the differences so that people going in and buying ammo at least know what they're getting into when they buy it. Brass ammo, of course, made of a brass casing. Steel made with a steel casing with a coating over top of it. Now, guns were traditionally designed to shoot brass casings. Brass is a very good metal in that when it's fired, the heat and the pressure in the barrel build up, and the casing expands very quickly and then shrinks back down very quickly as well. Now, this is actually part of the function of the gun in that when that casing expands, it helps plug the chamber and prevents gases from spewing back out into the chamber and creates a good seal and increases your accuracy and a lot of good benefits of it. Steel case, on the other hand, it's a myth that steel doesn't expand or steel expands but doesn't contract. No. It's baloney. Steel expands and contracts just like any other metal. The problem is steel does not expand and contract anywhere as fast as brass. So when you fire this steel, it expands slower so you don't get a good seal on the barrel. So you do get gases shooting back into your chamber and powders and carbon, and steel case ammo is very dirty because of that. Now, on the flip side, the ammo is also very slow to shrink back down, which causes some issues with extracting the casing in some guns. Some guns do not fire steel case ammo good at all, and that's partly because it's shrinking at a very slow rate, and it can get jammed or it can get caught on the extractors. A lot of different problems that can come from using steel case ammo. If your gun shoots it and there's no problems with it, I see no problems with shooting steel case ammo. If your gun is a jam-o-matic with it, don't use it. You're going to have to use brass. Now let's talk about the other myth, is the coating. People love to talk about this coating. Now, way back in the day, all steel case ammo had, well, not all, but like all the Wolf stuff and all that had a lacquer coating on it. And that lacquer coating was known to melt and get into the people's barrels and chambers and make a huge mess. Well, over time, these companies have stopped using lacquer and have switched over to a polymer that's more heat resistant that does not do that. Well, that myth hasn't really died. People still believe that the steel case ammo is coated with a lacquer and it's going to get all over your gun. It's not the case. The modern polymers they use are much better quality and much better for your gun. Not to say there aren't people still using lacquer. There are, but not as many as there used to be. I think actually currently the only manufacturer I know who's using lacquer is Brown Bear. But I think the Wolf, WPA, Tula, and all of them are using polymer. But I stick away from the Brown Bear just because I have heard they still use the lacquer. Now, I think a lot of people blame the lacquer on, I think what they're doing is they're cleaning their gun, and steel case ammo is very dirty, and they're blaming all that carbon and soot and garbage. They're blaming it on the lacquer, and I don't think that lacquer is there. I think it's polymer, it's fine. I've torn apart my guns and I've never seen any signs of any kind of melted lacquer or resin or any kind of polymer in my chambers or in my barrels, so I'm just not seeing it, guys. And I strip my guns on a regular basis and clean them good, and I check them out real good, and I'm not seeing it. So I don't believe it. I think it's a myth. But if you're really concerned about it and you do treat your guns like fine china, buy the brass. Plain and simple. But if you're looking to save money, because steel case ammo, of course, is way cheaper, if you're looking to save money and your gun fires it with no problems, there is no problem with using steel case ammo. you're going to go to the range and people are going to bitch at you, because that's how gun owners are. They're kind of elitist snobs, and I don't know what it is about the gun community where they feel like they have to tell everybody else what to do with their guns. But for example, I have my Saga 7.62x39. That gun eats up steel cased ammo like nobody's business. It has thousands and thousands of rounds through it. Not a single failure. Accurate as can be. Still shoots great, perfect. Yeah, it's dirty as hell, from the, after shooting the steel case ammo, but it runs terrific. It never fails. And there's always some jackwagon at the range who says, well, you shouldn't do it. It's going to ruin your gun. It's like, well, go pound salt in your ass. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want. It's my gun. I just don't get it, But the AR-15s are a whole different story. And guys, we're not even going to get into the AR-15s because it's just, they're very picky about ammo from what I hear. I don't own one, so I can't attest. But from what I've seen at the range, some AR-15s can shoot steel case ammo all day long. Other AR-15s just become jam-o-matics when you put steel case ammo in them. I don't know if it's the gun or if it's the person who owns it just doesn't clean it properly. I don't know. I can't attest firsthand. But I can tell you what, if you're shooting an AK-47, steel case ammo is never going to bother you. If you're shooting a lot of guns, steel case ammo, I use steel case ammo with my 9mm Ruger. Haven't had a failure since the break-in. I shoot a lot of steel case. I probably go through, a couple hundred rounds a month of 9mm in my Ruger 9mm. No problems. I just don't have the problems that people have, and, I think the problem is, part of it is that elitism that's out there. People can't stand when there's a cheap product out there. And the other part is, that, let's face it, the ammo is just not as good. Performance is not as good. Accuracy of steel case ammo suffers because it doesn't make that good seal in the chamber. It's much dirtier. And it's just, it's probably not as good for your gun. I mean, it's, guns were really meant to fire brass. And that's the big argument for brass, is that this is what your gun was meant to fire. This is what the cheap stuff that's out there. Go with your own gut instinct about your guns. If you treat your guns like fine china, shoot brass. If your guns are something you don't mind putting the extra time in, cleaning and taking care of, if it runs, shoot the steel case. Who cares what other people say? Tell them to mind their own business. But there is no, steel case ammo is not going to ruin your gun. It's not going to cause any problems other than just making your gun dirty. There's a lot of myth out there. There's a lot of baloney, I think, which is just, ridiculous, where people say all these ridiculous things, and, a lot of it's not true. Make your decision based on what you want to do and what gun you have, not what other people tell you what to do. And enjoy your shooting. You shouldn't feel bad because you shoot steel case ammo. You should be shooting as much as you can, as much as you can afford. Get good, get practice, learn your guns, get familiar with them. And if you can't shoot your guns because you can't afford the expensive brass ammo, what good are you doing? If you're shooting steel, if your gun works, don't sweat it. Enjoy it.